may have just seen a video that I posted just a little while ago about my repairs and maintenance on my cello. In case you haven't seen it yet, I got a new bridge, a new sound post, and unsuspecting to me, I had to get a new tailpiece because the old one snapped. It just completely failed. It broke upon re-stringing the instrument at the shop. And I had to get some new hair put on my bow. I say all that basically because my cello is an incredibly finicky instrument and it doesn't like all of these changes. When it's set up and adjusted just the way the cello appreciates it to respond, it's really good. I love it. So what I'm doing is exploring some variable. It's still related to the violoncello and its history by Joseph Vasilevsky. Yes, I've taken a significant break from that and from uploading recordings at all, and that's because my cello was in the shop for a week, and now it's been 2 weeks, almost a week since I got it back. But because my cello was in the shop, I undertook not a side project, but a deeper dive into the violoncello and its history. In the section about 18th century cello, there's mention of a method coming out of England, and it's largely the music of Giuseppe Cevetto, who was an Italian cellist. This method was put together by Broderip and Wilkinson in the 1700s. I think it's a very interesting little thing. It's got a lot of fantastic exercises, information, and on top of that, there are examples of trills and turns and grace notes. And this is very useful and somewhat eye-opening. Of course, you get to know about trills and turns and ornaments like grace notes and the Pogritura types while you're playing because you're exposed to the Baroque style. But there are so many variations and different types of trills and turns and what they call a shake that one must really go into it specifically to find out how they performed those things. And a little bit to our modern ears, it's kind of the same because we don't really distinguish between those things so much anymore. Anyway, I'm going to get right into it. Here's an example of a shake, and it's actually abbreviated with TR. So here it is. It's actually just 8 notes for a quarter note, and it's very in slow motion like this, and slightly faster. So that's kind of an interesting concept. We pretty much do that as a shake or the trill now. This next one, however, is not something that we do in modern, even romantic playing, and it's a turned shake. It's also marked trill, just TR, but it's not distinguishable just from the TR. If you don't know that it should be a turned shake because of our modern playing styles, you wouldn't do it that way. Here is what it sounds like. Again, it's only 8 notes with a little bit different ending. Okay, now compare those two. I've got the shake and I've got the turn shake. There's the shake or the trill. The turn shake, also marked trill. Now I can tell that it's a turn shake not only because it's written there, but They've labeled it. I'm going to be showing you some screenshots of the original and also what I've been working on. This is the project that it's been taking up most of my time right now, and that's transcribing it into a easy to read, updated, modern layout. They wrote TR over both of them, obviously, and that's the way it would be written in the music. But in the example, they have written above TR shake for the first one and turn shake for the second one. The next thing that they have is what we modern players would identify as a turn, but it's got a vertical line through it. And they term this above that turn a beat. This is only 7 notes. And the 7th note is longer. So we've got, up to this point, the shake, the turn shake, 8 notes, which are 32nd notes, and then the beat, they are 6 32nd notes and 1 16th note. Next is a turn. I think everybody knows the turn. They have it marked as 2 32nd notes, 1 16th note, and 1 8th note. Thusly. We tend to learn it as very even, equal notes, where we would play all of those 5 notes like this. Or 4 notes in this case, but I think many times in modern playing we do 5. Something more akin to where we would even start on the note. They've started above the note. The note is marked C. The turn is written out D, C, B, C. So it's only 4 notes. The last ornamentation is called a continued shake, and here is a screenshot of the continued shake. Interestingly enough, this is probably what we would call a trill in our modern nomenclature. So this is how you play it, I guess. I mean, it just goes on and on, or something like that. Going on to the Pogrituras. This method by Broderip and Wilkinson from the early 1700s in England is basically one of the earliest examples of a cello method for beginners. I mean, it starts you from the beginning. It gives you lots of warm-ups. It gives you all the scales and arpeggios, and then a lot of just really easy warm-up things that you can do in first position, just back and forth in C major, G major, F major. Now on to grace notes. When in the Baroque era they mark grace notes, it's a much different experience than a grace note marked in the Romantic era, and certainly in the 20th century. We've got Pogrituras that are, as they say, little grace notes that are placed before or after their printing. Here's a screenshot of all of the grace notes and their principal notes and the way that it's played as they've written it out. It's very interesting to see it written out, and I think most students probably don't see it written out more than just at the very beginning of their learning of grace notes. And I think it would do a lot of good. Look at the first look at the first 4. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And the second one, 1, 2. Now I'm going to slow it down because we've got a grace note on a quarter note alone, and it goes 1 and 2 and 1 and then a grace note on an 8th note. Now, if we did this all in tempo, I probably would just start it much slower. So the first one, and you might have noticed already that each measure is actually shorter than the previous one. And I'm sure they did this for an example. So we could go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and then something like that. So you can feel it in proportion. Now we go on to compound meters. 1, 2, 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and next 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Next 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 1. Great. And these final two measures, here's another screenshot so you take another look at it. They've got 3 grace notes for the first example and 2 grace notes for the second example. Now, in the original, the second example has a B sharp marked in the score, and here's a screenshot of the original. See if you agree with me. If you don't, that's fine. Please tell me why. I cannot see a reason for that to be a B sharp because the principal note is a C natural, and it's the same note. So I'm going to perform it as a B natural, not a B sharp. Anyway, here we go. You can see on the way it's written out as played, we've got 2 32nd notes, 1 16th, 1 8th, and the last measure are 2 16th notes and 1 8th. And it goes like this. And played straight through at a constant tempo. 1 and 2 and ready and play You know, ornamentation is something that takes a lot of effort to learn to do it clean and effectively. So whenever you are questioning how to play Baroque ornamentation, looking at a method like this, where it's taken directly from a very prominent cellist of the time, Cervetto, who wrote many sonatas and various other pieces, was employed throughout his entire life, both in Italy and England, as a professional virtuoso. So this is something that I've been working on. You have seen some screenshots. I've scrolled down to help you understand what I'm doing. And when you're in the midst of doing some research, of historical works, and you come across other historical works that are the instrument in question, it really asks you to go look at it. And the perfect opportunity arose when my cello desperately needed to have maintenance done to it. New bridge, new soundpost, new tailpiece, and rehair on the bow. So with some more playing and hopefully with some good adjustments, my cello will sound a little better, and recording will resume, and I can get busy continuing on with the greater book, The Violoncello and Its History by Joseph Wasilewski. If you have any comments or observations, please leave them under the video, and subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe, and go listen to my podcast over at Anchor, also findable on Spotify and many other platforms. that is it for Traveling Cello with Forgotten Cello Music. I'm Aaron. Thanks. Have a great day.